Not giving you a number line this time. It's important to read the directions. It does want you to graph that solution. If it were just equation like number 20 was on your homework and you got x equals 2, you would literally just plot a point at 2 and you're done. Okay, that's what that was just asking you to do. But in this case, we actually have like solutions that are less than or greater than, so we have to shade in one direction or the other. Before we get started though, we're going to start with the first example there, Grace. What would you do first to get this x isolated? What'd you say? Okay, here's the problem with multiplying by 2. You can multiply 2 by 2 first if you do it correctly. The issue is that 90% of you will do it incorrectly. And that's why I push away from doing that. Why can't we just multiply by 2 right away? We can if we do it correctly, but what will most of you do? You'll multiply this by 2 and this by 2 and forget about the 4. Do you see how this 4 is in the way? If you multiply everything by 2, you need to multiply every piece by 2, including the 4. So what could we actually do first? There you go. And again, you can do that. I just try to have you guys not do that because a lot of you guys will do it wrong. Okay, Lexi, what would you do now?
Then I would multiply by 2.
Do we have to flip the inequality in this case?
No.
No, you are not multiplying by a negative on both sides, so we do not flip the inequality. So when I make a number line, all I put on my number line is 0 and the number. I really don't care about all the random tick marks in between. Honestly, just put the number on the correct side of 0, and that will make me happy.
Yay!
Okay, so Kaylee, open or close circle?
Open.
Open. Tanari, which way would you shade? To the left or to the right?
Right.
To the right. This is saying x is greater than negative 10. The numbers to the right are greater. Also, the arrow is pointing to the right. Okay, Mike. What would you do first in the next example there? Okay, what do you get when you combine those like terms? Okay, remember we want to get our variable on the left side, and right now our variable is not on the left side. So what can we do, Blaine, to get that variable to the left side? You can't just flip it over. It's not an equation. It's not symmetric like an equation is. So what mathematically could we do to move that negative 4x over?
Add 4x on the side.
There you go. Now, it is not incorrect if you get it with the variable on the right side. It's just harder to graph in the end, and you guys tend to graph it wrong when you do that. So that's why I have you guys do it this way. Okay, RC, now what?
You subtract 2. Or no, you subtract 4.
There you go. Do I flip the inequality, RC?
No.
No, I'm subtracting, not multiplying or dividing by a negative. Now what, Justin? Which gives us a fraction of negative 1/2. So 0, I'm going to put negative 1 on here, so negative 1/2 is in between those 2 points. Even if you just put negative 1/2 there, I really don't care. Call in, open or close circle?
Alright, let's see. It would be closed circle.
Very good. Emma, which way would you shade? To the left or to the right?
To the left.
To the left. It says x is less than negative 1/2. Less than or equal to means that it's going smaller, which is to the left. The arrow's also pointing to the left. What questions do you guys have so far? When you are done copying, go ahead and flip to the next page so I know you are ready. I do not want to move on if you are not there. All right, solve this inequality. Solve this inequality. Riley, what would you do first?
Work with the parentheses, so multiply 2 by 3x and also minus 2.
Which is known as the distributive property for your proofs. When we get to that next week. Brian, when you are ready, tell me what to do next. Yes, you can. So we can add 2 to both sides. Miguel, what would you do now?
Add 5 to 6.
Be careful, it's already positive, so the inverse of that is,
Minus 5.
there you go, minus 5x on both sides. We do not flip the inequality. You are not multiplying or dividing by a negative.
Closer. Why is it close? Oh, yeah.
Let me, here, no, it's not Claire, is it?
No.
What does it start with? Cassie. Starts with a C there. Cassie, open or close circle?
Closed.
Closed. And Josh, which direction would you shade? X is greater than, so that's greater than, which means all the numbers to the right, and the arrow is pointing to the right. So look at that and see what questions you guys have for me so far. Bless you. Do you have a question? Bless you. Are we doing okay so far?
Sure.
Just sure? Like, does that mean no? Because I always take sure as no. Do you need help with something, Riley?
No.
You sure?
Sure.
Oh no. We're going to be in a big circle here if you keep doing this to me. All right, Jayla, what would you do first in example 4? So that is 6x minus 3 is greater than or equal to 10x minus 11. Connor, now what?
You can add 3.
Add 3 to both sides. Lexi, face forward. Put your feet under your desk. Connor, now what would you do? Subtract the 10x. Lamar, what would I do now? We're trying to get x alone. What is happening? What operation is connecting the negative 4 and the x? Is that addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? Be careful, they're touching and that's multiplication. So what's the inverse of multiplication? Division. So you're going to divide by negative 4 on both sides. So divide by negative 4 to undo the multiplications. What should you be thinking?
Switch. Flip.
You need to flip that inequality. Mike, now would it be open or closed? Closed. And Jordan Coward, which way would you shade? It's pointing to the left, so it is going to left. It also means less than, and the numbers to the left are less. Look at that and see what questions you have for me before we get into the next examples. Alrighty, Tanari, what would you do first in example 5? Justin, what would you do now?
Add 4 to the term.
Jordan, now what? What's 6x minus 6x?
0.
So I have 0 is greater than 14. Okay, let's go back to elementary school. When your teachers told you that they were alligators or Pac-Man, is alligator or Pac-Man eating the bigger number? No, so is that a true statement? No, this is not a true statement, so we say no solution when it's not a true statement.
No solution.
It's on the board like that.
That's not spelled very well up there, though. I mean, it's spelled correctly, but that doesn't mean it looks good.
Plus solution is spelled like directly under no solution.
I don't even know what's happening there. Just go with it, guys.
Describe in words.
So, what does the graph look like for us if it's no solution, Lexi?
It's not shaded in at all.
There's no shading whatsoever. There's nothing on the number line. It's more like just make your words bigger. All right, Alyssa, what would you do on the next one?
I want to cry, Mr. Penny.
Why?
Because she's making me mad.
I'm sorry, just go back to class, please.
I don't want to.
Alyssa, what would you do? Let's do this right this time. Cassie, what would I do next?
Oh, okay, hold on.
That's fine, take your
Just going
time.
ahead, so,
That's fine, take your time.
I added the 6 to the 9.
So I get 4x is less than or equal to 15 plus 4x. Mike, now what? What's 4x minus 4x?
0.
So I get 0 is less than or equal to 15. Is that a true statement? Is 0 less than or equal to 15?
Not equal.
It's less than, though, so it's or, so it only has to be one or the other. So it is less than, the Pac-Man is eating the bigger number, so that's all real numbers. Any number you plug in will work. So describe in words how the graph of this one would look like, Brian. How would this graph look? You can finish writing first if you want to. It's not a huge deal to me. And if you need me to ask the question again, let me know, okay? When you're ready. So my question was, what will the number line look like in an all real number situation? So if we go back to the previous slide, we said when it was no solution, nothing on the number line was shaded. So what do you think is going to happen when it's all real numbers?
All the numbers are shaded.
Everything is shaded. The whole number line is shaded. So like if you were to draw a number line, you would literally shade forever in both directions.
You call it
What's the highest number?
I call it expanding hyperbole.
Whatever you want to say.
Considering shaded takes up half of the page.
Right, so we only have 2 more examples and then you get to work on your homework. Yay!
Hooray! I am super excited. Can you tell by my tone?
No, I cannot, Riley. I'm sorry. When you're ready, Flip, if you have any questions for me, please let me know. All right, this word problem says your grades on 4 math tests are a 79, an 85, an 86, and an 88. You want your mean graded to be at least 85. What is mean? How do you find the average?
You add them all up and divide by how many trials or whatever you have. Or how many grades.
So add everything up and divide by the total number of numbers. So the average, you want your average to be at least. That word means it's an inequality. It's not exactly. So we want an 85 or higher is what we're saying here. What grade on your 5th test will give you a mean score of at least 85? So we already answered this question. What is mean? Also known as the average. Add everything up. And you divide by the total number of numbers. So there will be a total of 5 math tests, so we'll be dividing this one by 5. Very good. We'll add up all of our test scores and divide by 5. So that kind of answers both of these questions.
It's like a perfect fail.
Thank you. I try really hard, you know. I do have line tools on here though, so when we get to like lines and stuff, I use that. So that's how my lines are so perfect when we get there, just so you're aware. It has nothing to do with how great of a drawer I am.
Are you a great drawer then?
Not at all. If you get me in geometry, you will learn quickly that I am not.
Do you make straight A's then?
How do we apply this to this situation? So how do we apply this to this situation? How are we going to apply the mean to this situation? What are we going to do? In words, tell me what we will do.
Do applying things.
Do applying things, okay? How will we do this problem? Tanari?
Add up all numbers, then once you add x, then divide it by 5.
Add all the numbers plus x, because we don't know what our 5th test is, and divide by 5. Very good, Tanari. Okay, so is this an equation or an inequality, and how do you know, besides the fact that I've already told you, but is this an equation or inequality, and how do you know? Riley?
It is an inequality.
Because?
Because it says at least.
It says at least. It's not asking for an exact amount. So if it's not asking for an exact amount, it is an inequality. If it's asking for an exact amount, it's an equation. That's me every day of my life, so don't worry about it. Set up an equation or an inequality to solve. So we already know we're going to add up all of the current test scores plus x and divide it by 5. Tanari told us that earlier. And we want our grade to be greater than or equal to a 85. So add up all of those numbers for me, somebody, so I can. So Mike, what did you get? And then we'll check it for somebody else.
338.
330? Okay, 338. Somebody else confirm that it is 338.
338.
Okay, the rest of the class confirmed it, so we're good. Okay, so very good. Now, what do I need to do next here? Justin.
Multiply by 5.
Get rid of that denominator. That's your ultimate goal every single time first so that you can get to what's on top of it. Did I get, is 425 correct?
Yes.
Okay, then I subtract 338. Is that 87? So you must get at least an 87 on your next test.
It's a little too much pressure on myself. I'll just skip on knowing if I'm going to fail or not. I'll just skip on anything.
All right, we have got to learn to persevere. It's okay to be challenged in life, guys.
What? Challenges are too
My
challenging.
challenge enough is to
I'm not
take
okay
the
with
test and
this.
actually succeed. I don't need to know what percent I'm supposed to get. That's the big, huge.
It is good to know that, though.
Yeah, but having challenges makes it challenging.
Exactly.
All right. What would you personally do first, Jana, in this problem? What would you personally do first? So again, I taught you how to put things in your calculator, so you can get that in your calculators if you want to. All I'm doing, though, when you multiply fractions, you multiply numerators together and you multiply denominators together. So 1/2 times 3 over 1 is 3 over 2 because you just multiply straight across. 1/2 times -7 over 1, you can put anything over 1, is -7 over 2. So that's all I did there, if you were wondering.
So,
Wouldn't 6 be, wouldn't that transfer to 3?
It would be 3. I never distributed it through. Thank you. Okay. So then we combine our like terms. So 3 minus 7 is -4 over 2x plus 3. What's -4 over 2? -2x plus 3. So we add 2x because I want to get the variables to the left side. Add 4. And divide by 7, and we get x is greater than, or less than, 1. Less than or equal to 1. Open or closed? Close, it has a line equal to, or equal to, and you shade to the left. All right, let me get your guys'